When it comes to Cardinal sports, pin your hopes on this one. We will show you the hardware and all the fast breaks. The pool was dedicated to you, John, and so is this show. C squared for 3. Sportsnight is next.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sportsnight. I'm Joe Young.
And I'm Howie Shapiro. We actually have a pretty busy show tonight.
We do. We are getting down to the very, very end. Another team ending its season, but what an end it was. We're going to get to in just a minute. And some special moments that are not necessarily just due to sport, but some emotions and some very special dedications and ceremonies toward the end of the show.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Well, we will start with that boys hockey team. They posted their best season in the regular season record in the last 15 years, and they flew into the playoffs with nothing to lose. They were the 6th seed, which meant a first-round quarterfinal matchup with the 3rd-seeded Blaine Bengals, a team that hammered them 10-2 early in the year. But these Cardinals have grown a lot since then, and they were going to show it by putting the fear and the pressure on the Bengals bench. Cardinals start the scoring early in the first. Tyler Barsness carries it deep, leaves it off for Nathan Clark. He finds the 5-hole, and the Cardinals jump to the lead. They add to it with 90 seconds left in the first period. Barsness enters the zone with speed, fires a wrist shot top shelf far side. That put Coon Rapids up by 2, but Blaine answered 30 seconds later, so it's 2-1 after 1. Cardinals get that one back in the first minute of the second. Eli Bowden finds Tandon Bush at the back door. He's got a gaping net to fire at. The Cardinals have some cushion up 3-1. They keep the pressure on, and it leads to another Coon Rapids goal. Blaine's goalie gets all tangled up with his own defenseman. Puck bounces to Clark. He immediately fires it home. His second goal of the game puts the Cardinals up 4-1. It holds until the final minute of that second period. Blaine on the power play. The shot from the point goes wide, but off the end boards right to Finn Loftus. He cuts into the lead. And those last-minute goals can be killers. Blaine playing with some desperation in the third. Get this one back to even quickly. Dane Anderson's goal at 4:44 tied the game at 4, and the Bengals really controlled the entire final frame. Blaine out shooting the Cardinals 22-7 in the third. The deflection by Andrew Swanson gave the Bengals their first lead with just over 5 minutes remaining. They had an insurance goal less than a minute later, and the Cardinals' season ends with a 6-4 loss in the quarterfinals. And Howie, obviously, our friends from North Metro provided the coverage, but you and I texting back and forth and getting updates from North Metro's Bill Hupp. We're very excited to hear how well the Cardinals did. They held it for 2 periods, just not quite enough.
Yeah, it was nice enough of Bill to give us updates as the game went along, and they played so well, and it was so heartbreaking. But you look at what Blaine did in that third period, out shooting them 22-7. They really controlled it, and they actually, according to Bill, kind of had their way with, unfortunately, with the Cardinals in that third period. And
still a very young Cardinal team.
Yes, I was just going to say that. But this is a young team that got a lot of experience this season.
They certainly did, and the Bengals really just got one extra game, and it was not one that they will look back at fondly. They got spanked by Grand Rapids, the Thunderhawks, putting up a 9-1 win to reach the final, and over a 10-2 winner over Forest Lake. The Huskies 17-2 on their way through those 2 games to get to the final. Grand Rapids has outscored its opponents by a 15-2 score.
That's pretty good.
So 2 teams with a lot of offense that have been very stingy on defense and are used to winning by large margins will meet on Thursday back up at Amsoil Arena up in Duluth. And that one should be a good one. But Cardinals have a lot to be proud of. It was a pretty impressive season.
It really was an impressive season, and that championship game should be a fun one as well.
Absolutely.
Want to talk some wrestling?
Sure.
Let's do it.
If you do.
I always do. Well, the Cardinal Wrestlers were in Elk River last weekend for the Section 7 3A individual championships. It was the one last chance to make it to the big dance. While the Cardinals were clearly rebuilding this season, they still have some talented leaders who would have a legitimate chance to make it out of arguably the best section in the state. Some of the youngest Cardinals have had big impacts for the team this season. 8th grader Jack Breidenstein lost the opening round at Breidenstein. Lost the opening round at 106, but he bounces back with 2 straight wins, including a 5-2 over Champlain Park's Matt Mayo. Breidenstein places 4th in the tournament. Timmy Horst lost the first round as eventual section runner-up, but he bounces back with a pin against Alex Carrick of Plain, eventually squeezing the headlock, getting the slap, as you saw there on the mat, just before the second period ended. Sophomore captain Carter Skradsky was one of the only 3 Cardinals to win the first round. He made quick work of Elk River's Jack Flahaven, getting the pin at 58 seconds. Skradsky was the Card's top finisher, taking 3rd place. Senior Josh DuBois trying to finish his career strong. Nice move to take Heineck Ortiz of Champlain Park straight to the back. DuBois finishes the pin at the end of the first. Hunter Allen with a dominant showing in his first consolation match. Controlled the Rebels' Mitch Knight, earning a 16-1 tech fall early in the third. Allen finishes 5th at section. Cardinals' other sophomore captain, Kenny Wells, another one with a good shot to make it to the state. He fought his way back from an opening round loss, but came up short in the 3rd place match. 4th place was a popular spot for the Cardinals. Senior David Jeebley, first-year wrestler, had an 11-7 decision over the wrestler from Cambridge Isani, 195, but he too loses in the 3rd place match. Cardinals with 5 guys finishing 4th in the tournament.
Yeah, just off of the podium, of course, only the top 2 able to make it to state. But, you know, a lot of youth, again, with this team. You got a couple of sophomore captains that were kind of the leaders all season long. Josh DuBois, after missing almost all of his junior year with injury, had some struggles with injuries this season as well. David Jeebley, another one of their few seniors, provided some great leadership despite being a first-year wrestler. But they've got some other young guys. Skillings, their heavyweights, just a freshman. Breidenstein was really a nice surprise in just 8th grade to come up and fill that 106 spot that they knew was going to be a spot that they were going to need some help in. And some other guys along the way. They did have a number of guys finish 5th, 6th in the section, but it's a tough one in Section 7. So the off-season starts now, and I'm sure that they're already building for next fall.
You know, for all the inexperience they had, I thought they did a really nice job this season, and and as you mentioned, probably the toughest section in the state.
Yeah. Well, swimming and diving season not quite over at Coon Rapids as the Cardinals senior leader prepares for this week's state championships. It's fitting that Tyler Schultz will finish his career at the biggest meet of the season, and he'll be trying to chase down 2 state titles. No one else was able to qualify, but there were some near misses that served notice for the Cardinals of the future. We start with the 200 individual medley. Schultz in the red cap in the middle. He and Andover's Noah Rabb run away from the rest of the pack in this one. Rabb missed the section record by a half second. Schultz qualifies as the runner-up, but he also put up a qualifying time of 1 minute 55.06 seconds. He'll be seated 8th in the IM at state. Sophomore Mitch Tronson has been a great story all season, but the next chapter will have to wait until next year. Tronson hung close to second place for most of the 500 free final, but couldn't keep pace at the end. Still, 3rd place gets him to the podium. A little hardware. He's got 2 more years to prove what he can do. Schultz wasn't satisfied with one event at state, plus the 100 breaststroke is his signature event. Centennial's Max Schurer gave him a great race all the way to the wall, but Schultz will get the gold, winning in 57.40 seconds. Schultz will be one of the favorites at state in the breaststroke, seated 2nd. And we definitely wish him the best of luck. Here is a look at some of the other finishers from the section tournament. A lot of guys, and again, a lot of youth just off the podium. The relay team's 400 free relay was 3rd place, 200 medley was 4th. Tronson made a final in the 200 freestyle as well, had lifetime bests in 200 free and the 500 free. 34 lifetime bests in this meet for the Cardinals. And look, Jackson Lang, that 100 butterfly was the 4th all-time in Totino Grace history because he's one of the Totino Grace guys. He's also a sophomore. Nate Larson is a sophomore. He got into the finals in both the 200 IM and the 100 backstroke. And Nolan Schultz is just a sophomore in the 100 free. But pretty impressive. A number of times from that section tournament that were top 10 in their respective schools. And now everybody gets behind the push for Tyler to bring home a state championship. Best of luck
wonderful
to him this week, competing again in both the 200 individual medley and the 100 breaststroke. It would be very cool to see him grab a title.
Yeah, it really would be. Wish him the best luck. I think my memory serves me from Coach Donaldson's email. I think that was the second best finish since 2008. Does that ring a bell to you? I think that's what it was.
4th place overall is the second highest finish since 2008. You are correct.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, and also I wanted to point that out. They cut 5.13% time drop at sections as a team.
It's amazing.
The next closest was Centennial with a 3.92.
Yeah.
So pretty impressive taper to be swimming their fastest at the end of the year. It was also an emotional event, the Section 7 Championships, always held at Northdale Middle School pool. Now named after this man, John Patricelli, who is going to step away. He has been the timekeeper there for a number of years for both Blaine and Coon Rapids events. They're not able to officially name the building after a person, but they were given permission to hang the banner.
Yep.
And for all intents and purposes, make it John Patricelli Pool. We will certainly miss him at CTN because he gives us all the stats, takes great care of us when we're there. Steps away from what he is doing to bring us stats even. Fantastic, and he wants to step away from those responsibilities, spend more time with those little guys right there and the rest of his family. And
I respect that, but we certainly, whoever takes over for him, big flip-flops to fill. I was waiting for that.
Well, you got me. If you were trying to get me, you got me. Let's talk some basketball.
Absolutely. Well, the boys basketball team will wrap up the regular season this week after a pair of tense clashes with conference rivals last week. On Tuesday, the Blaine Bengals came to the Fieldhouse looking to give the Cardinals a better game than they did the first time round when Coon Rapids won by 35. If the Cards were going to overlook the Bengals because of that, they would be in for a big surprise. Bengals start strong. Defensive rebound leads to quick transition and an open look for Ryan Bowman. Blaine started with back-to-back three-pointers and a 6-point lead. Well, the Cardinals playing from behind but never letting Blaine get too far ahead. Kaijon Cummings-Coleman, a steal and an easy layup on the breakaway, the start of a huge night for him. Well, the Cardinals defense helped get their offense on track late in the first. Elijah Smith will throw this one down with authority, but he was held to just 9 points against the Bengals. Coon Rapids really turns it on down the stretch. Ellingson with a steal at one end, quickly up court for McKeith Ding to finish on the other. Cardinals outscore Blaine 10-3 down the stretch. The Cardinals carry the momentum into the second, C-squared leading the way. This three-pointer, part of a 13-1 run to open the half. That put Coon Rapids ahead by double digits. Bengals hang around, but Cards won't let them threaten the lead. Matthew Ellingson also had 9 on Tuesday. Ding had a nice game, coming up here with 17, but the story of the night was Cummings-Coleman. The sophomore star had 21 of his career best 30 points in the second half as the Cardinals swept up with a 71-56 win.
Well, on Friday, the Cardinals traveled to Andover for the rematch between the top two teams in Section 7. Huskies took Game 1, and a win on their home court would essentially guarantee the first seed. For Coon Rapids to have a chance at that top spot, this was a must-win game. They get the start they wanted, getting their stars involved early. Cummings-Coleman driving strong to the basket, hoping for another big night. McKeith Deng driving and drawing the foul down the right side of the lane, and the Cardinals are able to build the lead to 16-9 about midway through, but then the momentum shifted. C-squared was sidelined with foul trouble, including 2 questionable charging calls, both drawn by Andover's Sam Masungu. Once the Huskies offense gets going, they're hard to stop. Ben Kopetsky's three-pointer helped Andover build a double-digit lead before the half. Cardinals weren't about to roll over, though, but the hole bigger than they could dig out of. Elijah Smith was one of 4 Cardinals in double digits. He finished with 14 points. But Andover was relentless. Kopetsky driving Kicking it out, Landon Nelson hits the three from the corner. Huskies comfortably in front. Cummings-Coleman limited by fouls in the first, had just 4 points at the break. They had a solid second half. Great move on the baseline right there. He finished with a team-high 16. The Huskies run away with this one. Kopetsky coast to coast. He had 20. Masungu added a game-high 22. Andover wins 81 to 66. And I think we were both pretty surprised at how in control of the game the Huskies were almost the entire contest.
You know, they played really well. They played really well on defense. And the thing that surprised me the most about the Cardinals is they didn't play their usual style of defensive basketball. I mean, you saw that one clip where there's a guy wide open on the wing for the three-pointer. Usually you get a guy over there. And, you know, a lot of it because C-Square was out. You know, he's an athletic player, and when he's not in the lineup, takes a lot of athletic ability out of the Cardinals, the lineup. So I think that, you know, we're keeping our fingers crossed that they're going to get another game with Andover this season, and we're hoping for a different outcome at that point. But we won't look past that.
If these teams meet again, it's most likely going to be in the section championship.
No, absolutely.
Because they are going to be the top two seeds. Cardinals want to finish the regular season strong, though. They're at Rogers on Tuesday, and will wrap up the regular season at home on Friday night, hosting the Elk River Elks. Girls basketball team last week at Blaine on Tuesday, and it was not a pretty one. 67-24, the Bengals beat the Cardinals. Jenny Tomboy leading the way with 14 points.
14 of the 24. That was pretty good.
She
for
does
her.
a
She's
lot
not
of
bad.
the scoring. Yeah.
Well, the girls closed out the regular season on their home court on Friday night, a special night celebrating their senior class. It was made extra special because one of their seniors would reach a milestone that only a couple others have done in school history. Jenny Tomboy needed 16 points against the Huskies to reach 1,000 in her career, and she was not to be denied, especially in her last game on the fieldhouse floor. Late first half, Cards down 7. Camille Washburn drives but misses. Jenny in great position for the rebound. She puts it home, and the celebration starts. Teammates rushing the floor. Even the Huskies stood and cheered what everyone understands is an impressive accomplishment. There was a short ceremony marking the occasion. Tomboy went on to lead all scores with 24, but the Cards lose 81-45. But what an accomplishment for Jenny, and what a great career she's had here. And she's not quite over yet, obviously, but we tip our hats to her, no doubt.
Absolutely. And there's the final. I mean, again, scoring more than 50% of the Cardinals' points. Sophia Smith had a nice night, 9 points. Camille Washburn added 7, and White had 3, but Andover almost doubling the Cardinals up and ending their season at 0-25. And so now they go into the section tournament. They're the number 8 seed. No surprise. That means a number 1 versus number 8 first round. So they will get Centennial. They actually played the Cougars pretty well first time around.
Yep.
Lost pretty handily the last time. But, anything can happen in the playoffs. So on Thursday night, Howie and I will be in Centennial.
We will.
Of course, you have to wait or come out and support.
Yes, come out.
And then you can go home and watch it afterwards because we can't obviously run playoffs live. But that will most likely be the end of Jenny's career. It's been an amazing one. We saw her just a little bit as a freshman. That was a pretty good ball club that she was able to crack into. They had, of course, the 3 bigs that graduated, but Jenny found her way into that because she was athletic, really good hands, and a great personality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer young athlete, and we wish her all the best in the future. But great to see that she got there. It was, over the last couple of weeks, we're like, oh, it's going to be close. Is she going to be able to make it? But she was able to get it and did it in emphatic fashion before the first half against Andover.
Yeah, and again, I can't remember what the exact total was when you started this whole thing. It was 408 points, I think, this year, going into that stat that you put before the 43 the game we did, and then before obviously the 24 and the 16 that she had the other night. So
yeah, the
she's got to get close to being She has
to
get close to 500 points this season.
I think she's over 500.
Is she over 5?
Yeah, I think she had 470, 472. I could be wrong, but yeah, she needed over 500 coming in. So she's been amazing, especially considering that every opponent she's faced knew that she would be the focus of their offense, and still she was able to do that kind of damage. So pretty impressive. We will see them on Thursday, and it's all playoff basketball from here on out until the sun shines on the baseball and softball fields. So we'll be at Centennial for the quarterfinal against between the Cougars and the Cardinals, and then waiting to see where or who the most likely number 2 seeded Cardinals will take on in the quarterfinals of that one, and that should be a fun ride. They were section runner-up last year, and they were the 5 or 6 seed.
Right.
They're hoping to do it now as that high seed and see if they can punch their ticket. First time since 1983. But we'll get to that when it happens. That's going to do it for this edition of Sportsnight. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. For the entire crew, including Howie Shapiro, I'm Joe Young, saying good night.